NerdandSon.
Hey, welcome to the NerdandSon podcast. I am Nerd. I am Ralph.
I'm Son. I'm Connor.
Hey, and we are here to talk and share our D&D knowledge, ideas, and just have a good time. So, it has been one of those weeks.
We're here to learn. We're here to learn and learn you, you know? Learn you a little something.
Yeah, so, okay. So, I guess one of the topics that we actually wanted to discuss in this particular episode is about modifying creatures and NPCs for encounters. So, and a couple things that we did for prep is, besides just talking about doing that for the encounters, we decided to pick a creature. And last time we spoke, you picked the Ankheg.
Yes, I wanted something that wasn't just your generic standard fantasy stuff, but also something that was very accessible and readily available. And I have not seen a monster manual. And as you know, as RPG players, we have 5e around, or any Dungeons and Dragons around, and so this is something classic. Big Bug.
Yes, Big Bug, very classic, and everything else on that too. So, and then we're going to talk about some encounters. Usable. Yeah, and then we're going to talk about some encounters with the Ankheg, and we're going to go from there. But talking about a classic, you go ahead and start off. Where do you think that the Ankheg made its first appearance? I cannot talk
first
today.
First appearance?
Yes, first appearance. Thank you for using my words.
I'm going to say something incredibly niche and nobody watched. I'm going to say it was first introduced in the Dungeons and Dragons cartoon, the animated series.
No. Unfortunately not.
Okay, well.
So... never talk bad about that cartoon series.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. That was okay. Okay, we're gonna skip past that one.
Okay. For another day. But another episode.
The Ankheg actually made his first appearance in Dragon number 5 in March 1977. Okay?
Jesus.
That's where it made its first appearance, okay? And it really wasn't
That's almost
much.
As old as you.
Well, here's the bad thing. It was actually considered to be the feature creature for that magazine. I don't have a copy of that. I went through all of my dragons because I have hundreds of dungeon magazines and dragon magazines, and I don't have them going back to this late. I think my earliest one I have is number 13. So there's a few that I'm missing.
You're close.
But
You're close.
Yeah. Oh, very close. Some of the 70s ones, some of the early 80s, but everything from basically like 84 on through to 2000, I pretty much have. So pretty cool. But it was considered the creature feature for that particular magazine for the day.
And that wasn't a real good month. They were running out of ideas.
Yeah, well, the creature feature,
crazy.
It actually featured only a single paragraph of information, but a full page color image of the creature.
For the feature?
For the feature creature. You get a half a paragraph.
Wow.
So, and then it was actually reprinted later in the Monster Manual that also came out in 1977. Okay, for the original Dungeons and Dragons. So very, very cool. The other thing that was kind of different for that is the creature at that particular point had a extra H in the name. So if you take a look at today's Monster Manual, it's spelled Ankheg. H-E-G. Oh, yeah,
we're getting into
yeah, when it was
we're getting into serious reporting here. I lost an H.
But yes, it was actually spelled an Ankheg when it actually first came out. So, and I think when we were discussing this off air, me and you were pronouncing it two different ways, and I think
we will continue to do so.
And I think that's probably the reason, because initially, I'm old school. I kind of pronounced it one way, and you pronounced it another way. But Yeah, it really wasn't special when it actually came out. It was basically a large mole/worm insect creature that burrowed through the earth. Okay, and it did pretty much the same thing, where it just basically survived on the soil, gaining its daily needs and everything from the soil, eating the roots, everything like that, and then every once in a while tasting tasty flesh. Other than that, there really wasn't much going on with that creature back then. So,
well, there still isn't a lot going on with this creature now. So.
No. Just the basic. If you take a look at the basic book, there's not much at all on that too. So, but the next one actually came out. The next mention really of the Ankheg that they had. Let me get my stuff in order here. So I apologize. And that is...
You should be sorry.
Yes. Is a Dragon magazine number 117. Now, I had this one. So this was cool to actually go back and actually read. So, but basically this was a article called The Ecology of the Ankheg, and it was done by Mark Feil. F-E-I-L. So Mark Feil. Yeah, okay. But basically, the story was actually told from the viewpoint of the Baron's minion, okay, who was like a wizard poser, okay? Mm-hmm. And basically it was talking about just a group of farmers. There's more of a story and everything inside there. And it talked about him going to the farmers, introducing and going over how they live, breed, can be killed, how they burrow. They can detect tremors in the underground with the tremor sense and everything like that too. But it was basically a farmer's bane, because it would burrow under the ground and grab its goats, cows, take them down, eat them and everything too. So that was kind of the information there.
Wish.com bullet.
Well, no, not really more of a bullet. They kind of changed the description and everything around at that particular point into, instead of more like a burrowing insect, to make it like a burrowing praying mantis. Okay. So they kind of changed the side of the description and everything on that too. The really other thing that they talked about in this and everything is about when they choose a mate. This is where the praying mantis access comes in. That the Ankheg would release an odor. It tracks the mate. The male actually gets sleepy after they mate, gets confused, and the female rips his head off. Yeah, the female rips his head off and plants the eggs inside of the male's body. So, yeah.
Not same.
But other than that, I mean, it's kind of there. Now,
so it got fleshed out a little bit.
It did get fleshed out a little bit on that. I mean, it's not changed that much since then, kind of little things. The only thing it's really
solidified the canon.
It does, but it really doesn't talk about, in the previous editions that we talked to so far, you only see kind of like the top half of the creature. You don't really see the whole creature, okay?
Yeah.
Now, this is where the name change actually comes in. In the Monstrous Compendium 2 that came out in 1989, okay? And this was also reprinted in the Monster Manual, came out in 1993. This is where it actually lost that extra H. Okay, and I don't know if it was design, purpose, a misspelling, or the original was misspelled.
It was.
Wrong.
I bet you. In my head canon, it was just a misspell, and then people were just like, whatever.
Yeah. Okay, but in this description, when this one actually came out, this one is where it more described the creature as worm-like with 6 pairs of legs. Okay, and a head with powerful mandibles. Okay, that could bite through a tree or you and everything like that. Yeah, so you just love your bullets, don't you? Okay, but this is where it kind of gets its real picture and how it comes out with the mandibles grabbing and with the legs and the 6 legs and everything. Gives it more of a monstrous appearance on the insectoid and everything. Now, it still kind of has the same thing like a praying mantis ecology and everything like they have with that, but yes. But it's really nice. Now, here we go. When we go in here, There was a little bit of when I was reading and things like that, because apparently there is a couple people that really do not like, or I'm going to say people, a group of people that don't think the Ankheg is a real monster. Okay, they think it's just a garbage monster and should never be used, which I don't think so. I think there's a place and time for everything.
Absolutely.
But there was an argument when I was going through the history and everything like here as why was the Ankheg put in the original monster manual, okay, when 3rd edition came out?
That's a fair question.
Okay, that came out in 2000, 2003.
It is definitely a monster manual 2 or 3 monster. It is not a monster manual 1 monster.
But if you got the monster manual,
do I think it needs to be out of the game? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. But do I think it's worth top billing? No.
No, but you take a look at this. When you have a brand new edition and you have creatures that come out, why don't you make some of the basic encounters first instead of your standard goblin, troll, or stuff like that? This, an Ankheg, is a basic monster. I mean, if you're a new adventurer, you're going to have difficulty with it. But if you're a veteran adventurer, you're not going to have any problem, okay? Until we start doing some modifications, the way you talk about here earlier.
I do have a question that I have not gotten to actually look at.
Okay.
Because you have all the different... what is the general level that this is normally at?
You're looking at a CR2 or CR3.
Okay. Cool.
Okay. Roughly around that size, so not too terribly much, okay? And depending on the way you want to go. And they're pretty much standard across the board, going to be a large-sized creature, okay? The only other thing... For everyone at home that doesn't know, a large-sized creature is 10 feet wide, right? That's the base. It covers 4 squares, so it's 10 by 10. Correct.
Or a circle that's a diameter of 10 feet.
Correct. So. Mm-hmm. Okay. Now, the other thing, too, is... this is where they kind of change and define with its acid spew that it actually has, that it's always had. It has always had a 6-hour recharge time before it can use it again. Okay, and in the previous monster manuals, even in the 3rd edition came out 2000, 2003, it was not immune to its own acid. Okay, so it would spew in an area, cover everything with acid, kill everything off, and then it had to wait. It had to wait 6 hours or later before it can actually go and eat anything it's killed. So. It really didn't like using basic biology. It was more of that last. Makes no sense. Yeah, it's more set up as a last option defense. That's the way it was kind of set up in the books.
Does the alien blood hurt the alien?
In this aspect, yes. Your xenomorph can hurt the xenomorph. Awful. Okay.
Gross. I don't like that. I don't like that. We talk about modifications, that's the first to go.
Yeah, well, we don't have to actually do that here, because we'll get to that. Okay, now, in this era and everything like that, and there was a bunch of monster manuals come out. You got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and everything like that. But they made a modification and something that actually kind of made the Ankheg a little bit more interesting. In the Monster Manual 5 that came out in 2007, okay, there was a odd chance, okay, that one of the eggs would actually end up not fertile at all, okay? And there's a very slim chance. And from these non-fertile eggs, there was a hint of eldritch...
make a delicious omelet.
That would be good. But it had somehow got a little bit of eldritch energy into it, okay? And it produced a creature called a mockery bug. Okay?
Okay.
Now, the mockery bugs are just basically a horrific version of the Ankheg, okay? And the main bug and everything becomes like its mockery monarch, okay? And basically what it does, the mockery monarch, okay, can produce what it calls mockery drones, which appear like any human that the mockery monarch consumes. Okay, and the mockery drones, okay, look identical to the humanoid that it consumes, except it has a permanent smile on its face.
Ew.
Okay.
Creepy.
So it kind of changed this creature, not really that interesting and stuff like that, to give it a rare option to have these mockery monarchs and mockery bugs come out of it.
And that gives you a nice little adventure hook for a small one session little side. So that's cool.
Yeah, very, very interesting. And I think there was the company that produces Borderlands, and they had a couple. Take-Two? I think it's one of their companies. I don't know, but they had
Gearbox.
A Gearbox. I think they produced a couple games. Yeah. That was like Happy Town People, and for some reason everybody in the town had like permanent smiles and everything on their faces and everything. That's what I kind of get the sense of when I actually see this. So I don't know what it is right offhand, but yeah. But yeah, kind of a little interesting like that. So, okay. Now, when the Ankheg makes its next appearance in 4th edition, okay? It didn't actually appear until the Monster Manual 2, okay? 2009.
Where it should be.
Okay?
Where it should be.
And the only real difference of this here is that it actually comes alongside with just some like little babies and everything like that in the graphics and the pictures and like little Ankhegs that are born, okay? Other than that, it pretty much stays all about the same, okay, at this particular point. Okay.
So just updated artwork.
It kind of updated and everything like that. Okay. Cool. Excuse me. Now, you get to today's Ankheg that's going to be in the 5th edition, okay? And this one first appeared in the first Monster Manual in 2014 for 5th edition, okay? Now, it looks like a giant insect ready to bite your face off, dribbling acid and everything on you. It's probably its most, the picture-wise from the actual monster manuals, this is probably, to me, the most ferocious-looking form with its, it's like a praying mantis on steroids.
Yep.
Okay. So yeah, everything like that. And it did actually make a basic change into his attack. Like before, it couldn't actually use his acid except for more of like defensive once every 6 hours. Okay. Now this has been modified where it can actually do the acid attack. The acid doesn't harm it, but it can actually do it every 6 rounds now. Okay, so it kind of gives a little bit of a different of attack and approach from the character, the way it's actually kind of modified. Okay, but overall, depending on what version that you use, like or anything else like that too, basically these are burrowing creatures. They are going to be found in prairies, fertile grasslands, farm areas, and everything like that. They burrow down in 10-foot holes. Usually their burrows are roughly 40 feet deep, okay? And they are mine just went completely blank. They are
ambush predator.
Ambush predator, thank you very much. So they will actually sit facing up just below the bottom of the ground, okay? So when something walks over it, a cow, chicken, pig, human, adventurer, it'll come up and it actually attacks them and everything like that as an ambush predator, okay? So they are a bane of lots of farmers and everything like that. Now, even though these things look wicked in the monster manual and everything like that, they're not going to be hard to take care of. They are a low hit dice creature, not many hit points and everything like that, even being large. So for simple adventures, going out through farmlands, simple quick encounters to throw off to the side just to test their abilities and skill, it's not bad on that at all. Okay.
Yeah.
Other than that, as the book states the creature and stuff like that, they're not that special at all. Now, you can actually make it interesting because there was a lot of talk, and I kind of like the idea in the games of, you know how you have the Monster Hunter game, okay? And you go out and you're hunting these monsters to get better weapons, weapon gear.
Yep.
You're hunting their parts, you're hunting their chitin, you're hunting their teeth and everything like that. having that in an adventure where they're setting out and they have to hunt down some of these to get some of their chitin for like certain armor or different things like that, or harvesting some of their acid glands that have not been used for whatever. So that can actually be used that way, which would be kind of nice, which I would think. So, but other than that, straight out of the book, there's not that much else to it or anything like that too. Yep. So, but yeah, other than that, it is actually pretty good. Very, very interesting stuff on that too. So, I don't know. Do you have anything on this or?
No. If you want, I can go through through what I found. Right.
Okay.
Which I would like to make this into a little soapbox moment, right? You know, a little off topic, but it'll get there. But if you want something in your game and you like the look of something, and you find something online, you don't have to change it that much. You don't have to do that. You don't have to, like, you're working on a game, right? For you and your friends to enjoy. This isn't a published thing, right? You can take things whole cloth, you know? Like even the you know, the Dungeons and Dragons lore, you know, like Forgotten Realms and stuff. It's all stolen from folklore and everything. It's where most of the monsters come from, and you know, everything's just taken and it's iterated on its own. But when it was taken originally, it was just whole cloth, right? And that's what I've done here. And of course, now I being on a show and telling you all this stuff, I'm gonna tell you where it's from, right? Yeah. But if I were using this for a game, there's no you know, that breaks the immersion in the moment. And you know, if they ask about it, then cool. But what I'm getting this from is the Matt Colville video from his Running the Game series. And you know, if you haven't watched that, go watch that. It is amazing. It is really some of the best stuff. He's one of the top, like, YouTube DMs.
Okay. Well, we can add a link to it in the podcast and also in the video notes and everything too. So,
absolutely.
Yeah, because I mean, anything that we talk about, we're going to have links for, because I went through 5 different sources to pull information for all the creatures, the Ankheg and everything like that. So there'll be a sheet with the links to all of my sources where I was pulling the stuff. So yeah, got to give credit where credit's due.
Yeah, absolutely. So the thing, a point that he makes in this video, right, is we'll go through a lot of this, but and I'll run through the list of this. But the point of this is that this is a random encounter while the adventurers are out, and are this is between rests. Usually they have the opportunity. This is after a long rest, and there isn't going to be anything happening between this fight and the next long rest. So this, as he says, this gives the characters the ability to go Nova, right? That's his word for it, and that's to go all out and use all the abilities, right? So being that this monster is very armored, right? It's an armored bug.
Yeah.
And with an exoskeleton, so the AC has been bumped up to 16, right? Not impossible to hit, but still within the fiction, within the believably high AC to try to penetrate. The other change here is the HP has been bumped up to 86, so that
so we're going up from a 6 hit dice to a 10 hit dice,
something like that. Yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, so up to 86, because the entire point of this is this is supposed to last 3 rounds, right? And we'll get into the action-oriented part of this, where it has a different action for every single round, which changes how the battlefield is and changes things and changes the game through in the way of the battle, right? And so the movement is 30 feet, and now the burrow is 20 feet, so that it can move around. And every time it burrows, it leaves a hole that the players can follow into. It's because it's a large monster, it's a 10-foot hole, so that's 2 characters abreast, right? And That, and we all know how players are. If they're given a chance to jump in a hole after a monster, they are going to take it 100% of the time.
Of course.
Right?
Yeah. There's no question about that.
Another change to the stat line here is that it cannot be flanked. It has eyes all over it. So there's no reason that if you're on two sides of it, it sees you, you know?
Okay.
Right? So it still has the glob, and the thing about the Recharge 6 is that it's not going to go off twice. This thing will never last 6 rounds of combat.
Unless you got some really bad rolls.
Yeah, really, really bad rolls. Both ways. Nobody's hitting anything, including this creature. And most D&D combats don't go very long. So it's got 2 claw attacks and a bite attack, right? Okay. So it's got multi-attack like a lot of things. Claw, bite. He adds a thing if they're both claws, but I don't really care for it, because that's just an extra thing to keep in mind. So, 2 claw attacks and a bite attack, and then, or 2 claw attacks with reach.
Okay.
Right? And those are the actions. And then a bonus action if somebody's prone, or it knocks somebody, if somebody's prone, it can do a single claw attack to a prone opponent, right?
Okay.
So especially if it comes out of the ground and knocks people down or something like that.
Right.
Right? And there are 3 reactions to stuff that goes on within the battle to kind of make it more dynamic, right? So if an enemy leaves their square, it'll toss sticky acid at them, right? And so that'll be acid, which makes them less mobile, and so damages and restrains, right? Then another reaction is the first time it's hit in battle, they is perfect. We talked about it before, and we it's right here, the xenomorph. The acid comes out of the body, and so the first time it's hit in battle, there's acid damage that's done to that character, and then when it dies, adjacent creatures take acid damage, and then so those are the reactions, and then we move into the villain actions, which are the big thing, which is why it's called action-oriented monsters, right?
Okay.
And so the first one, on the first round, it burrows into the ground, right? And remember, this is 20 feet. It creates a hole that they can jump into. It's great because it changes up how the battle is. It's not just people wailing. I don't know if you've ever been in this position or if you've ran an encounter like this where it's just straight boring. It's just each side is just hitting each other, and the health bars are going down, and that's it. There's
because you have to make them interesting. You have to make them dynamic, because every once in a while you run into a situation where it's just okay, we're going to roll the dice, we're going to hack through this thing, there's nothing special. But if you take the time and make it dynamic, and it sounds like what you're talking about with this action-oriented creature, it would actually make it, to me personally, a lot more interesting as an encounter, especially if it's something you set up specifically on this and everything like that too. Now, a question I have with this, the action-oriented encounter, is it a specific template that he's doing, or is it just modifications he's doing just to make this particular creature interesting?
It is just to make this creature interesting, right?
Okay.
And he goes through, and in the video, he also goes through a goblin boss. Right, and he goes through how to do it. So there's a bit of a, it's changing up the stat line to make it a little more interesting, and then specifically giving it 3 villain actions to do once per round. Okay. So that's the big thing about it, right? And so because most combats last around 3 rounds, so it doesn't make sense to keep it going further, and if you're just doing 3 rounds, make it interesting, right?
Yeah.
So, on the first turn, 20 feet, it burrows underground. The second round, of combat, it pulls somebody underground. So anybody who's timid and doesn't want to go into the into the group or into the ground, after the creature, they don't have a choice.
Okay.
And really, really fuck with them. Then on round 3, acid spray everyone within 30 feet. Right? And I like this on the document. It says, like a fucking sprinkler. I love that piece of and this is specifically all the holes that all the holes that the characters make into it, right? The acid comes out of those holes, so it's the consequences of your own actions.
Yep.
So, and another point that he makes in this document is the describing these abilities so the fiction reinforces the gameplay, right? Make this dynamic, describe what's going on, describe how the sword swipes and the cuts that are made into this are oozing out this acid and stuff like, and the consequences to know that the characters are causing this to happen, and the this is like the A leads to B leads to C, because that just makes for good description of anything. Not just this specific encounter, but anything, describing things, and instead of just you swing, you hit, right? No, you reel back and you put all your force into this swing trying to hit that's much more dynamic than
because it really draws out the theater of the mind and makes it a lot more interesting. Yes.
Absolutely. So that's it. That's the creature.
Okay. Well, that's kind of cool.
Yep. And people have taken this because it is a really good system. There is a Reddit community, r/action-oriented monsters. Well, they'll take these creatures and they will do them up in this style and make them, and make them into this kind of template of an action-oriented monster to spice up gameplay a little bit more. So.
No, that's actually really, really cool. I kind of like that. And I like the options and everything on that too. So, very cool. I'm going to look into what he's done in a few things because, I love looking at things because it sparks ideas. And then my head and everything starts going to flow. And one thing I really like, especially when you have a creature and any creature, and I know we're talking about the Ankheg for a lot of everything we're doing here, but when I started playing, there was really no variations of creatures at all. Second edition really didn't have any of that. Advanced, all that stuff. Could be me being younger. I really didn't know how to describe those things as well, and only taking everything as granted, and kind of running things as is. And then when you get the third edition come out, and you get the OLG and a lot of other writers, a lot of other people. OGL. I said LLG. Yeah, OGL. You get a lot of other people to come out and create, and you get to see a lot more ideas that came into the market, and it really expanded on what you can actually do, or me personally, what I can actually do with the Dungeons and Dragons game itself, or if I'm playing Pathfinder, or if I'm playing something else. It gave a lot more variety into different things you're going to do, and I love the idea of creature templates, NPC templates, everything like that, to throw a quick thing on the creatures. And different apps and sites that I can find and have found here. Like, for example, there's a 5th edition stat block site that I've used, and I use that for this particular episode specifically because I've made a bunch of templates for the Ankheg, Okay, just based off that, and it gave me my creature's stat blocks and everything like that. So now I have a stat block I can just keep with me, print off, set at the table, and then I can have everything I need out at that particular point instead of just like scratches and everything in the book. Because I do have books. I'll have to get one out someday, or I might actually do a picture post or something. But yeah, I have a book that came out, had nothing to do with Dungeons and Dragons. It was another role-playing game specifically, but I took everything and with pencil when I was 12 maybe 13 and modified everything to the way I wanted to do that with the original red box and blue and teal box Dungeons and Dragons, and to modify and fit everything that way. But yeah, being able to modify and everything like that, because you want to make your creatures and everything very, very interesting. So and like what I did for stat blocks and NPCs and everything like that for the Ankheg, and I'll have links to these in the description. But let me change my page here. But I did for the Ankheg, so there really wasn't much difference. You just kind of change the area. Like, for example, instead of your standard Ankheg, you could be at night, and then all of a sudden you see this bug-like creature, but it has like ripples of blue in its exoskeleton. Okay, so basically what it is an Ankheg with all the standard actions. Okay, except the acid is now lightning. Okay, and the lightning actually shoots out in a 30-foot long stream that could arc off of people. Okay, the same damage, pretty much the same bite, grapple, hit points, everything like that. There's really nothing it changes. It just kind of changes up the style of the creature and the damage the creature does to give it a little bit of diversity. Okay, I didn't really do anything special to make it different, but I made it different enough so when all of a sudden they see this creature, they're not quite sure exactly what it is. Okay, and we'll actually go back, and if you're playing, if you're used to play a lot of your Vigi games, your Warcraft, you will come across creatures which look identical but a different color. You're just reskinned.
Yeah, palette swap. Yep.
Okay.
Yep, just a little palette swap. It's
a new monster. Okay. Taking that same thought here, it's what we're actually doing. Okay, I also created one that instead of farm and fields, it likes basically volcanoes. I cannot talk here.
Volcanic areas.
Yeah, volcanic areas, yeah. And it's a fire Ankheg, and I switched out the acid with a fire spray. Now I changed this one instead of a line of fire. Okay, this actually does a cone. Kind of change things up there. The same.
So it's dragons with extra steps.
Yes. Yeah. So, but same thing. It's the same creature. You're just kind of changing up the look of it, changing its damage type, and now you have a completely different creature. Okay. Now, the other thing is, too, is if you can take these things, and we'll go back to your xenomorph kind of mentioned earlier. The other one that I made is I made an Ankheg queen. Okay. And all I did is I raised the hit dice up from 6 hit dice to 8. Okay. So 6 instead of 6d10, it became 8d12. I raised the armor class and everything else on there. Its strength, its dex, its con. Just made it a bigger, stronger creature. The other thing I did is I changed it from a large monstrosity to a huge monstrosity. So now we are a 3x3 scale.
15, right? Yeah, yep. 3x3.
3x3. Okay. Which that includes
bug.
Yeah, so that actually increases damage from its bite. And then I changed the acid spray in the line, which is the normal one, and I made this one a cone, which it upped the damage and everything else on there also. Mm-hmm. It also upped the challenge rating for the size class and everything from the regular Ankheg in 5th edition to a challenge 2 to a challenge 4. Okay? Really didn't do much difference there, but I used something I've seen before, aliens, and we did the same concept, and I made a Ankheg queen. So you can kind of do things, modify it, and everything like that. And those are just basic things I did without having a template, just taking ideas, taking a different damage type, and changing it around. And you could do that thing with any kind of damage type. So if you want to do that with, not acid, but fire, lightning, you could do a psychic one if you want to, with psionics. Why not? You can kind of make it different. And but yeah, when you started seeing all these other publishers making all these different variations of your base creatures, I mean, it's just the sky's the limit of what you can do. And I was a big component because I actually picked up a book, and I'm looking for it here. I'm sorry. I have no idea what I did with the book now. That's great. Okay.
Editing, Dad.
Awesome.
Put in hold music.
do 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 do.
Should we make this our
Not a problem. Let's go ahead. Let's take our first intermission, and I will come back with the book. Okay.
We will be back to your regularly scheduled programming.
Hi guys. If you want to take a break from role-playing and watch someone burn their face off while eating hot peppers, head on over to YouTube at 13 Peppers and like and subscribe. And if you want to grow these peppers yourself, you can actually purchase these seeds at 13peppersbyralph.com. With that, have a good day.
And the book was exactly where I was supposed to be. I was just blind, couldn't see it. But just giving an example, besides a lot of the other books and everything out there done by the third parties, this one I used a lot. Trying to get the glare and everything off there. Basically, is a book of templates. This is done by Goodman Games. It's basically for 3.5 edition. But all it is a whole bunch of templates, ideas, and everything just to modify creatures. Go through here and go, ooh, that seems to be excellent for the creature that I want to have coming up, and different ideas and stuff like that. And I love books like this because I'll read through these books, and then in the back of my head I'll take the knowledge going, ooh, that would be a good idea. And I might not use it word by word the way it's in here, but I'll take the concept because it gave me the idea from the concept that they gave, and then I'll sit down and I'll just add stuff to a creature and kind of make it that way. So I don't actually use it word by word, but I use this and all the reference books because I have a ton of books back here. Plus I got files and everything full of all my soft cover books because these are just the hard covers here. And I love them just for ideas. I don't use them word by word, but they're such a rich source of ideas, concepts, theories, not theory, idea, history. You could use the stuff and it's just great. So,
Yep. So this book right here, The Monsters Know What They're Doing, by Keith Amon.
Okay.
Right? This is a great resource for spicing up your combat. You know, this takes regular
I'm not familiar
monsters.
with that at all.
Oh yeah. So this takes this is for tactics. This isn't so much for stats, you know, but like this takes like regular things like you've got goblinoids, orcs, you know, you've got a bunch of stuff, owlbears, nagas, harpies. Let's just keep going, right? It's just a bunch of the monsters and your standard monsters and stuff.
Okay.
And it takes it and it talks about their behaviors and stuff and how they would actually fight, so that can inform you when you're actually playing as them instead of just being a bag of hit points, you know. So not just like from a mechanical standpoint, from an actual gameplay and like behavioral standpoint of like messing with these things so that it's not just swing and hit, you know, and really spicing things up. And
so that's really good because when you're talking about that and you got the ecology and everything is going on with the creature, when I look back at some of the basic games, even though they are memorable to me, but if you go back to like Keep on the Borderlands, okay, after you get to the keep, you're clearing out this little caves like system that's in this little valley, and you have to leave your belief behind because you got goblins next to bugbears, next to troglodytes next to kobolds, and there is no way that they are living happy together in a cave 100 feet away from each other. Okay?
Yeah.
But when you're designing your creatures and you're modifying and everything like that, you can get rid of the different type of creatures, and you can actually have the same kind of creature that could live together, but be different enough with its attacks, with its modifications, with its template, that now you can actually have a ecosystem for that creature, which actually helps immerse the players into the game by making it living and breathing as you're actually talking about the encounter.
Yep. Or in the Sunless Citadel, they have in the dungeon there are groups of kobolds and goblins that live in the same dungeon, but they're fighting against each other. They all have different goals and things that they're doing, and things within their factions that you can play off of each other or ignore entirely if you want to. But there's all that, and it's believable, and they're in a state of flux and always trying, not so much flux, it's stagnant until the players arrive, but it's a very living, you're walking into the middle of this thing that feels like it's been going on. So if you do have the different creatures, you can believably make them coexist by not coexisting
yeah, exactly. So, but yeah, I mean, that's the whole point of modifying creatures. You do the same thing, because we're talking about creatures. NPCs, you can actually do the same way, okay? Because you can take your regular NPCs, you can actually make an undead template on top of them. You can do an ooze template on top of them, okay? You can actually do it, same thing. But same thing too. You can actually turn your regular NPC and increase the size level. Okay, a bunch of different things that you can modify, so you don't have to do the standard thing. Make it different, make it interesting, and make it your own. And I really truly believe in that, because especially what you're saying is you were doing the action orientated monsters. Okay.
Yep.
That's somebody else's work, okay? He's spending it out there, sending it out there. There's no problem using that and making it your own. Take the idea and everything like that. I take my ideas off of movies I've seen, books I've read, and everything like that, and I set up different scenarios. It's like in a past podcast, we were talking about a scenario with beholders, and I set myself up from the movie Clash of the Titans, where I had the 3 witch sisters that have to share an eye as my basis for the beholders. So yeah, it doesn't have to come out of thin air and be something brand new, because there's so much things out there. And honestly, they say from writers, screenplays, directors, everything like that, when you boil everything down, there's only 7 different stories that is ever being told. Out of anything you read, anything you watch, you have your modifications and everything like that, but when you boil it all down, you're just kind of reusing those 7 basic things.
There are holes, and it's very much from a Western like European stories perspective. But yes, through our popular culture, there are normally only 7, like so many stories, and there's iterations between them and things you can change. But
because you can make iterations, make them fresh, make them new, and everything like that. But that is based on a very European style of storytelling that is in our culture and does seep into our popular culture. But it is important to clarify that is for that, and that many other cultures have many other types of stories, So I just wanted to put that in there. But yeah, I think the big takeaway here is, grab things and grab things and take inspiration and then make it your own, Or it's also, we all have lives, we all have stuff we've got going on, If you don't have time for that, that's okay. Just grab a stat line, from something else and
do what you can with it. You know, you don't have to be perfect. You don't have to, at the end of the day, it's all about having fun. And even the preparation to have fun should be fun. So
exactly. So just trying to show, and I think the point of everything that we did today is just trying to show, you go through the history, you have a creature, you see how it modifies, but how you can actually change it up so easy. So
absolutely.
Play with it, make it your own. It don't have to be the same thing out of the book all the time.
Absolutely. Yep.
Okay, well, I think for the most part, we've actually went over a lot of different things, at least in my head, about what you can do to modify creatures using different templates, use different ideas and everything like that. Do you got any final comments or anything like that? Or
there is no such thing as an original thought. Just steal shit.
Such wisdom from the youth. Okay, yeah, just make something and make it your own. So, but yeah,
absolutely.
Okay, but I guess that is it. If you enjoyed everything that you heard here today, please subscribe to the channel. I greatly appreciate it on here. Go ahead and give us 5 stars if you're listening to the podcast here. Give me a thumbs up if we're watching on the video here. Greatly appreciate it. You can actually contact us if you want to. Through our links that we'll leave in the descriptions here. Our email address where you can send us stuff directly is going to be NerdandSon at gmail.com. And that's going to be pretty much it. Do you have any way that they can contact you directly if they got a question directly for you?
Not me specifically, but I do want to plug what I've been plugging this whole episode, which is the action-oriented monsters, and specifically Matt Colville. Okay. He is just a font of wisdom for this hobby and everything. So now that you're done with our video, go watch his videos.
Yeah, we'll put a link and everything on that too. And the other thing too, if you wanted to actually see more of me, I actually have another YouTube channel called 13 Peppers by Ralph. I have been growing super hot peppers for a long time. I taste them, I eat them, I review them, and I have been at this point interviewing other podcasters that do the same thing and throwing them up on the feed. So if you like seeing me kill myself, and then also when my son here was in town tasting hot sauces with me and acting like a complete fool, because that's what we do best. Check out the channel.
My father killed me. It was a homicide.
But that's at 13 Peppers on YouTube, or you can actually head to my website, which is 13peppersbyralph.com. So, but with that, I am Ralph. I am Nerd.
I am Connor. I am Son.
And you have yourself a wonderful, wonderful day.
Bye.
Bye.